You know you need to do it. That email you keep avoiding. That workout you keep saying you'll start. That project you really want to finish. You tell yourself, I'll do it in a few minutes. Then you grab your phone. You check one thing, then another. And somehow, the whole evening is gone. But here's the strange part. You still want to do it. You know it matters. You know you'll feel better once it's done. So why do you keep choosing everything else? Why does something you actually want feel so hard to start? Maybe you're not lazy. Maybe your brain has learned to avoid something you don't even realize it's afraid of. And once you understand what your brain is doing, you may never look at procrastination the same way again. The first thing to understand is that your brain may not be avoiding the task itself. It may be reacting to what the task represents. Think about that email sitting in your inbox. It might take 10 minutes to answer. But before you even open it, you may already be thinking about what you'll have to say, whether you'll get it wrong, or how much effort it will take. So the task feels bigger before you even begin. And when something feels uncomfortable, your brain naturally looks for something easier to focus on. That's when your phone suddenly becomes interesting. You check one message, watch one video, scroll for a few minutes, and for a moment you don't have to think about the task anymore. That's the first clue. The problem may not be that you don't want to do the work. The problem may be that, before you even start, your brain has already decided how the experience is going to feel. But if your brain can predict that discomfort before you begin, what happens when it finds something that feels good right away? And this is where the quick reward becomes a problem. Your brain doesn't just care about what feels good. It cares about what feels good right now. That's why your phone can beat a task you actually care about. You open your phone, and there's always something waiting for you. A new message, a funny video, a new post, something that gives you a little hit of interest almost instantly. But the task on your desk doesn't work that way. You might spend 30 minutes working before you feel like you've made real progress. So your brain is comparing two very different experiences. One gives you something now, the other asks you to put in effort first and wait for the payoff. And when you're tired, stressed, or overwhelmed, waiting can feel much harder. So you choose the easier reward, not because you don't care about the bigger goal, but because your brain is focused on what feels better in this moment. And every time that happens, you're making the immediate reward part of the decision. But what happens when your brain starts choosing right now over later again and again? And this is where one small choice can start becoming a pattern. The first time you put something off, it may not seem like a big deal. You skip the workout today. You answer the email tomorrow. You tell yourself you'll start the project after dinner. But when the same thing happens again and again, your brain starts noticing the pattern. The task shows up. You feel that little bit of discomfort. You choose something easier. And life moves on. The problem is that your brain doesn't just remember what you wanted to do, it also remembers what you did when the task felt uncomfortable. So the next time that feeling shows up, avoiding the task can start to feel like the normal thing to do. That's why procrastination can slowly become automatic. You may not even have a full conversation with yourself anymore. You just reach for your phone. You open another tab. You find something else to do. And suddenly, you're doing it before you've even thought about it. But if this pattern can become automatic without you noticing, how do you actually break it? But there's another reason this pattern can become so hard to break. Sometimes the task isn't the real problem. The problem is what you think the task is going to feel like. Imagine you have a report due Friday. You open your laptop and see a blank page. Before you write a single word, your mind starts filling in the worst parts. This is going to take forever. I don't even know where to start. What if I do it wrong? Now the task feels even heavier. So you close the laptop and tell yourself you'll come back to it later. The important part is that nothing about the report actually changed. Your prediction changed. Your brain imagined the discomfort before you experienced it. And once that happens, avoiding the task can feel like the easiest way to protect yourself from a feeling that hasn't even happened yet. That's why you can spend 20 minutes worrying about a task that might only take 10 minutes to do. But if your brain can make a task feel worse before you start, what happens when you finally take that first step? And sometimes the hardest part isn't the amount of work. It's not knowing exactly where to begin. Think about a project you've been putting off. You know what you want the final result to look like, but the first step feels unclear. Should you open a blank document? Should you do some research? Should you make a plan? Should you just start writing? The more choices you see, the easier it becomes to do something else. So you check your phone, you get a snack, you answer a message. Anything that gives you a clear next step feels easier than sitting there trying to figure everything out. And this is something people often mistake for laziness. Sometimes you're not avoiding the work. You're avoiding the uncertainty of not knowing how to start. Once the first step becomes clear, the task can suddenly feel much less threatening. But even when you know exactly what to do, there's still one moment that can stop you completely. The moment when you have to actually begin. And this is why the moment you start matters so much. When you're standing in front of a task, your brain is still dealing with everything you expect it to feel like. The pressure, the boredom, the uncertainty, the fear that it might take longer than you want. But the moment you actually begin, you get something you didn't have before. Real information. You can see what the task actually requires instead of guessing. Maybe that report isn't as complicated as you imagined. Maybe the first paragraph comes easier than you expected. Maybe 10 minutes of work gets you further than you thought. Starting gives your brain a chance to replace the scary picture in your head with reality. And every time reality turns out to be easier than your prediction, you weaken the old pattern. You're teaching your brain, I can start before I feel ready. That's important because you don't need to make the entire task feel easy. You only need to prove that starting is possible. But if your brain has been repeating the same pattern for a long time, knowing why it happens is only the beginning. So what do you actually need to change to break that pattern? So now the pattern becomes much clearer. You're not simply choosing to be lazy. Your brain sees the task, predicts discomfort, uncertainty, or effort, and then looks for something that feels better right now. You reach for your phone. You put the task off. You feel a little relief. And when this happens again and again, your brain starts treating that escape like the normal response. But there's another part to it. The task may also feel bigger, harder, or more confusing before you begin than it actually is. Once you start, you get real information. You realize the task is possible. You realize the discomfort can pass. And that means the real battle isn't always about finishing the task. It's about changing what happens in the few moments before you start. So instead of asking, how do I force myself to be more disciplined? The better question is, how do I teach my brain to respond differently when something feels difficult? Because your brain learned this pattern through repetition. And with the right kind of repetition, it can learn a new one. The first step is to make starting so small that your brain has almost nothing to fight. Don't tell yourself, I need to finish this whole report. Just open the document. Don't say, I need to work out for an hour. Put on your shoes. Don't think, I have to clean the whole room. Pick up one thing. The goal isn't to finish the task. The goal is to prove to your brain that starting is safe. Because once you take that first small step, you're no longer imagining how hard the task might be. You're actually doing it. And that gives your brain new information. This isn't as bad as I thought. The more often you create that experience, the easier it becomes to start. You're not waiting for motivation to appear. You're making the first step small enough that you can act before your brain has time to talk you out of it. And once you can start, you can begin changing the entire pattern. The second step is to stop giving your brain the reward before the effort. Think about what usually happens. You sit down to work, but your phone is right there. You tell yourself you'll just check one thing first. One video becomes 5. And now the task feels even harder to start. So try changing the order. Do a small piece of the task first. Answer a few emails, then take a short break. Write the first paragraph, then grab some coffee. Finish part of your workout, then listen to your favorite song. The point isn't to punish yourself. You're teaching your brain a new connection. I put in the effort, and then something good happens. Over time, that can make the task itself feel less like something standing between you and a reward. You're no longer asking your brain to give up the reward. You're simply teaching it to wait for it. And once that becomes familiar, there's one more thing you can change to make the whole process even easier. The third step is to make the easy escape a little harder. If your phone is sitting next to you while you work, your brain doesn't have to think twice before reaching for it. So put it in another room. Close the extra tabs. Turn off the notifications. Leave only what you need in front of you. This may sound simple, but that's the point. You don't want to spend every work session fighting your own brain. You want to change your environment so the better choice becomes easier. And now the 3 pieces work together. You make the task small enough to start. You put the reward after the effort. And you remove some of the easy escapes around you. You're not trying to become a different person overnight. You're giving your brain repeated experiences that say, I can start this. I can handle the discomfort. And I don't need to escape every time something feels hard. That's how a new pattern begins. And once your brain starts learning that pattern, starting can slowly become easier than avoiding. So maybe the next time you catch yourself putting something off, don't immediately call yourself lazy. Remember what's really happening. Your brain may be expecting discomfort, looking for an easy reward, and trying to escape a feeling it has learned to avoid. But now you know something different. You don't have to wait until you feel motivated. You can make the first step smaller. You can let the reward come after the effort. And you can make the easy escape a little harder. Every time you do that, you give your brain a new experience. You're showing it that doing something difficult doesn't mean you need to run away. And over time, that can change the way starting feels. You're not trying to become perfect. You're teaching your brain a different way to respond. Because maybe the goal was never to become someone who never procrastinates. Maybe the real goal is to become someone who can feel the discomfort, take the first step, and keep going anyway. So now I want to ask you something. What's the one thing you've been putting off even though you know it actually matters to you? Don't give the perfect answer. Just be honest. Tell me in the comments. And maybe writing it down is the first small step toward finally starting it.